Okay, thank you for joining me um, in this program. Today, I want to talk about something super important, and it's something that affects, I believe, so many people that I get to speak with over the course of my day to day. The topic is the ultimate career guide for career change. At some point in our individual journeys, we always have to make career changes for different reasons, whether we're switching to a brand new career or whether we are trying to get a promotion in a particular or specific discipline, or whether you're trying to maybe you're graduating and you're trying to get into the job market. you know there are different reasons for which people make career choices and transitions and changes. What I want to share with you in the next couple of minutes is to provide you a guide to empower you to be able to navigate the process of making career changes, from when you start exploring or when you start thinking about it up until when you make that successful transition. So stick with me. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll be sure to read them and I will be able to provide you some sort of feedback at some point. So the first thing, like I said, why consider a career change? In my experience, one of the reasons why many people change careers is because there's a lack of fulfillment. That feeling of unfulfillment when you're doing a job and you're just doing a job because you just have to do a job. You're feeling stuck in a job that doesn't really align with your passions, with your values, and this can lead to burnout. It can lead to dissatisfaction. There's a statistic that's very popular that talks about the fact that over 70% of Americans don't like their job. They just go to the job because they have to, keep pay the bills. And while there's nothing wrong with that, it's also very important that there should be some sort of alignment between your personal or your core values or the things that you enjoy doing or your calling, if you want to use that word, or your career, right? To the job that you're doing. A job is, like I always say, a job is just a means to an end, right? But your career is your real purpose. Your career is your long-term journey. So as you're building your career and transitioning and making progress in your career, the jobs that you do actually should be taking you or pivoting you in the direction of a career. And that can change at any point in time, but you should be doing things that pretty much align, with what that thing is that gives you fulfillment. One other reason why I found that people make career changes is when there is limited growth potential, when people can't see opportunities or uh, chances for them to advance within an organization or from a particular role. They can't see where they're going, or they cannot see opportunities to acquire new skills, or whether it's leadership skills, whether it's becoming a team leader or become provide mentoring, or basically advancing your career. You might want to start thinking about or considering a change in career. It may be necessary at that point. The other thing is when your interest and appreciation aspirations are beginning to evolve. So, for example, as human beings, we're always evolving and we're always, aspiring to be better. So, what my aspirations were 3, 5, 10 years ago are not the same thing that my aspirations are now, right? So as my aspirations and my goals and my interests change and they evolve, therefore my also career options and my career, goals are also we also change, and that potentially will also always lead to things like considering career change, considering a change in job, and and things like that. or even if life circumstances or life dynamics change. For example, maybe you're not married before and now you've got married, then you potentially might need to start thinking about, is there any impact of this on my job, on my career, or have my interests evolved, or are my priorities still the same? And things like that. So those are things potentially that could lead to career change. And if any of these things, if you fall into any of these categories I've mentioned, yeah, you're in the right place. Stick with me because we'll be having some really core practical conversation about how to make the transition. And finally, market changes, economic shifts, or industry trends may also create new opportunities. Now we are talking about artificial intelligence globally is causing so much disruption across the globe. Now people are beginning to reprioritize their career aspirations. People are beginning to see that, okay, there's some jobs like that AI potentially would affect. How do you want to position yourself to make sure that you are taking advantage, or well positioned for the benefits that this sort of technology will bring. So those things actually create also or impact also on reasons or why a person might be considering a career change. All right. Now, the first thing I want to talk about when you are considering a career change is it's important for you to assess your interest and your skills. You remember I talked about that earlier in the first part. I mentioned the fact that your interest potentially will always evolve. And as human beings, as our interests evolve, so will our career aspirations, so will our career circumstances, so will our goals begin to change and evolve as well. So you want to do self-reflection to identify what are my core values, right? What am I passionate about? What are my interests? These are and when I'm talking about interests, I'm talking about long-term interest. Where do I see myself in 5 years, in 10 years, and things like that? And you can ask yourself questions like, what exactly brings me joy and satisfaction? Right? Do a self retrospection or self reflection and be very, 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 very true to yourself, especially as it relates to this type of personal, questions. This gives you an idea of where and what type of transition you want to make so that it aligns with those interests and those core values, those passions that you have. The other thing, that second thing I want to talk about when it comes to assessing your interest and your skills is to make sure that you can take an inventory of your skills. Do a skills inventory exercise. And how do you do this? Is basically just list out your technical and your soft skills and your transferable skills, and all these things you are the things that you have gained through past experiences, maybe your current job, your previous jobs. Now, the thing I always tell people here is that don't let the job title deceive you or box you, you know, into a corner, or don't box yourself with job titles. Job titles can be super limiting, right? From what I've seen, what I've experienced, transferable skills are totally, most of the time, even beyond the scope of a job title. You find yourself, you've done a job where maybe you're called a user researcher, but in that job, you've done tasks that relates to product, analysis, you've done requirements analysis, you've done design, you've done leadership, you've done, so you don't say because you're a user researcher, the only things you're listing in your skill inventory are the things that are specifically related to user. Think about what are the things I've done on the job. Does that make sense? Then the other thing is you can consider taking personality tests. So you can explore this to basically understand and gain insight into your own work style and your preferences, so that when you are making transition or change in your career, you know what you're looking for. That pretty much align with your style of work, with your personality, with your interest and your values. Okay. And still under this area, the last point is about feedback. It's important to listen to feedback. So ask feedback from your mentors. If you don't have a mentor, get a mentor, or ask your colleagues, ask your friends. This will help you to gain a broader perspective, especially when it comes to your strengths and your weaknesses. You know that when it comes to your strength, when the feedback you get about your strengths, then you know that you have to leverage and capitalize on those. And then your weaknesses, you know that you have work to do in these areas to improve yourself, to become better. So it's super important to assess your interest and your skills to make sure that when you're making a transition, you want to align, your career trajectory to your interest and your skills. Okay. Moving forward, um, after you have assessed your interest and your skills, now you are thinking about where am I going? What am I looking for? And this is where you now begin to think about identifying potential new careers. Now, the mistake so many people make, which naturally, as human beings, is a lot of people kind of jump into this step without doing the assessment of their skills and their interest. They jump into the idea of identifying, oh, what is the latest trend in terms of careers, which jobs are hot in the market, which jobs pay the most in the market, and so on and so forth. And people basically use that as a yardstick, without thinking about what are my interests, what are my core values, what are my skills, what are my passions, and get feedback around my strengths and my weaknesses and things that we discussed before. Those things you have to do so that you have that knowledge, that insight. Then you come into identifying potential new careers. You start by doing things like research. You have to research, explore job websites, industry publications, check out professional organizations to learn about new career paths. But you know that when you're doing this, you are doing this in hindsight, or with a mindset of clear clarity around your interest and your skills. Okay, you are able to find, or you when you're doing your research, you see that there's no misalignment between what your interests are and also what your skills are, and then this potential new careers. You strike a good balance when you're making that change, if that makes sense. Networking is important. Connect with professionals in the fields that you're interested in. The whole idea is you want to gain insight into their work and into their career trajectories, and see how their career progression, or what their career progression looks like, so that you understand how and what that might look like for you, and how well does it match up or line up into or with your own interests and your long-term career perspective. Then you want to do information interviews. What you can do here is you can schedule interviews with people who are in the roles that you are considering to learn about what their day-to-day experiences look like. Yeah. So one of the things I like that we do at Job Momentum is in our internship is that you get exposed to what the day-to-day of that job will look like, so that when you eventually go to that company or you apply for that role, you are not shocked, because everything you would experience in that job, you most likely would have done them in during your internship at Job Momentum. So please, if you're looking for a way to do some of these things to get this experience and exposure, check out joinmomentum.co.uk, and maybe check out the Career Accelerator Placement or the Global Digital Internship. And then lastly, of course, shadowing. If possible, you can do a shadow. When the shadowing means basically like observing, right? Sitting beside or spending a day with somebody who is doing that type of job that you are considering, or that type of career you are thinking about changing into. Um, this will give you first-hand experience, okay? And you see whether this is something I really want to do. Am I a good fit for this kind of job? And things like that. Okay. So yeah, that's that. Now moving on, this is the third part, my third point here. And here I'm talking about one major and one very important factor. When you find out potential career options or opportunities, one of the things that I've noticed that keeps so many people back is fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown, and that's natural. Okay, it's natural to feel nervous. Okay, it's natural to feel nervous. So, what I would say in terms of overcoming fears and doubt is, first thing, acknowledge your fears. Recognize that it's okay to be worried or to be nervous or be anxious about making a change. You don't know the new culture you're going to find. You're going to meet new people, work with new people, understand a new domain, work in a new terrain, and things like that that could actually upset your routine before you settle in and all that. But it's okay, because what you have to do first is, once you have the mindset that it's okay to be afraid, it's okay to be worried, but then once you recognize that, then you address them openly and honestly. Don't let them hold you back. You address them by saying, "What am I afraid of? I'm afraid of what the day today looks like. Let me go shadow somebody so I can actually see what I'm dealing with here." Or, what am I worried about? I'm worried about, what I don't know if I have a strength, if my strength and weaknesses actually, will be uh, able to allow me to do this job, or I need to think about something else. Let me ask for feedback around my strengths and my weaknesses. I hope that's making sense. So openly address your fears and doubts, and honestly, critically, be objective about this. Don't let them, instead of letting them hold you down and hold you back. The second thing is to challenge negative thoughts. Replace negative self talk with positive affirmations. I was still saying this to someone yesterday. It's super important that you do positive affirmations and focus on your strengths and capabilities. Amplify your strength. And this you do by what you say to yourself. So practice positive self talk. Positive self talk. Okay. I'm going to have a sip of water. Moving on, it's important to speak up and seek support. So, in this case, you can lean on your friends, your network, family members, mentors, your coaches, and all you're doing is basically just seek encouragement and guidance during this sort of, because it can be tough. It can be tough, especially now. There are massive layoffs. A lot of people are dealing with this type of thing I'm talking about. So just seek support from your network. And finally, believe in yourself. Remember that you've got skills, you've got experience, you've got resilience. So you have the power to achieve your career goals. Now, having said that, this is also taking us forward into, like I said, these are practicable things I want to share with you today. And I'm happy that I'm doing this, because this is something that I believe will help so many people. It helps so many people. I have this conversation literally almost every day with different individuals seeking to make career transitions. Here, I want to talk about developing a plan of action. Like that saying goes, if you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail, right? So you want to come up with a plan of action. We've talked about assessing your skills. We talked about second, overcoming fear and doubt. We talked about identifying new opportunities. But as we're talking about all of these things, it's important to have a plan of action. And how do you do this? You do this by, first of all, set goals. Define your short term and long term career goals, and break those down into smaller things that you can do on a day by day. So, for example, if your goal is to understand whether you're fit for a particular type of career or not, then one of the goals you want to set is to address that, answer that question, is maybe, for example, seek feedback from a mentor or a friend, and give yourself a timeline you're going to do that by. Send an email, follow up, get the response, or go and shadow somebody for a week on what the day to day of that job looks like, or Go and take practice simulations to understand the kind of scenarios that you're going to be having to deal with on that job, right? So you have an idea. But bottom line is set goals and turn those goals into small deliverables, things you can do within a day that add up, having doing them over time into helping you moving you closer to your goals. The second thing is to focus on skills gaps and identify those gaps and develop a plan to acquire the necessary skills through training, through certifications, and through courses. I think this is a straightforward point. I don't need to flog it a lot. And then networking is important. Build relationships with people in your target field where you're going. LinkedIn makes this super easy. So go on LinkedIn, search for people in the new area you're looking for, and connect with them. Okay. Then finally, create a compelling CV or resume with with a cover letter, and make sure that you tailor your application materials for specific positions when you're making your application. So when you are making an application, make sure that your CV actually aligns pretty much with what the hiring manager or the recruiter they're looking for. Now, this is a big one for me because at Gen Momentum, we have Growth Academy, our Growth Academy, and we also have Job Simulator AI, which is currently in development. Our Growth Academy, basically, we build practice simulations and we share them with organizations who want to help their members to learn or to improve. And these are basically things like, case studies inspired by global brands where you're looking at exercises you complete, and then it's even AI powered where you can get feedback from AI. More also very, very close to role playing. So leverage your practice simulations because you can practice or answer common interview questions. You can address case studies, which will boost your confidence a lot. And then you can complete scenario-based exercises where they present to you a problem, a scenario, you respond to it, and the AI gives you an evaluates your submission and gives you a detailed feedback. And then you do more like a role play because you are now put a simulation. Think about simulation as you are now you're wearing the heart of the person in that scenario. Okay, so you're doing role play. So leverage job practice simulations as much as possible. Now, I'm not going to flog this other point too much as well because I think it's super important that you break your skills, you build the necessary skills, starting from technical to soft skills to industry knowledge and to your personal brand. So if you look at the hierarchy there, the technical skills start first. And this is what you do by finding out, okay, what are the technical knowledge and proficiency required in this job that I'm going to apply from, this role that I'm looking on, this new career that I'm aspiring to change to, right? Then what are the soft skills like communication, teamwork, leadership, and so on and so forth? How do I make sure that if I identify the gaps I have in any of those areas and I cover those gaps off? And then look at how do I have an understanding of the domain, the industry, okay? Because the fact that you have maybe done something in the past that's super close to what you're trying to do does not mean that you have worked in that industry before. So you want to familiarize yourself with that industry, understand the best practices, emerging technologies that are relevant to your career goal. And of course, your personal brand. This is super important. In fact, if I can swap the triangle the other way around, because your personal brand is basically the the thing that speaks for you when when you're not there physically yourself. It goes before anybody meets you. That is the way I describe a personal brand. You want to put your best foot forward. You want to showcase your aspirations, your skills, your experience, your capabilities, and so on, and things that make you attractive beyond just the CV. Okay. And then, of course, internship is a very good way if you're trying to move, especially if you're trying to transition to a new career. You want to find opportunities where you can get like opportunities to volunteer or pay for traineeships or training internships for a period of time to get yourself exposed, because this is big, especially for practical experience. You want to gain practical experience, you want to apply your skills in a real world scenario, and you want to build a professional network, as quickly as possible. It will also help you to develop industry knowledge. It's super important. And of course, you can explore different roles and different positions in order to find, okay, which one best aligns with my interests and my skills, and of course, my ideal, that will give me my ideal career path as I'm making this change. So building these necessary skills, internship is really good. You can check out, even Job Momentum, we have our 6 months internship program, which is called Global Digital Internships, where we invest £5,000 in people who are successful in the program. If you don't get in there, you can still get the same value by enrolling onto the Career Accelerator Placement program. And moving on, I mentioned this before, but trying to break it down into something that is practicable, like I said, which is about networking and informational interviews. You want to identify professional organizations and industry events. So check out platforms like Eventbrite and search for keywords that relate to what you're trying to do. Platforms like meetup.com. And when you go to these events, build relationships, meet people, tell them what you're trying to do, and tell them who you are, what you're trying to achieve. Engage in conversations, share your career goals with them, and you can even ask them for advice. And I see people do it because I attend events, I speak at events. I see people come up to me and they discuss, oh, this is who I am, this is what I'm trying to do, this is where I am now. And we kind of take it off from there, and then we go on to LinkedIn and we build, connections from there. These things are really, really important. You can also even schedule things like informational interviews with these people in your targets field to gain insight into their work experiences and also their career paths. And like I said before, people that I've met at events, many of them actually have ended up on my LinkedIn connections, because then I can follow them, you can follow me, we can follow one another as we all progress. And you never know, it's a very small world. We also potentially will meet again. Okay. And yeah, if you do all of this well, get interview, negotiate a competitive salary for your job, new offer, accept it, familiarize yourself with the new company when you're onboarding, understand the process of the company, their culture, their policies, their procedures, and then begin to make new friends in your new place. 3, like I said, contribute, make meaningful contributions and demonstrate your skills, your knowledge, and your commitment to your new job role. And finally, continuously seek out opportunities to grow and develop. It's important. And this brings me to the end of my talk today. I hope you've had an opportunity to learn a couple of things that you're going to apply yourself. If anything is not clear, feel free, please drop me a question in the comments. I have a series of webinars for job seekers, adult learners, and people generally who are trying to make career changes. This is one of them. Feel free to check out my website, www.victorsunday.com/connect, and you will see my library or my portfolio, and you can choose to access a lot of the free resources there. And then, of course, you can even access some of the paid programs, some paid coaching programs, or even book a one-on-one consultation call with me. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you again in another training course. Bye for now. See you later.